Hello backyard vegetable gardeners, welcome to the Backyard Vegetable Gardening channel. Today is Friday, February the 21st, 2025, and I sure hope you're having a great day. Well guys, I'll be honest with you, just to the point here, I've been trying to start some seeds all week long and it's been a very busy week. Today's video, I'll be starting some of my broccoli and some of my celery, and we're going to get into talking about some of the things that have helped me in my seed starting, and one of the most important topics at the end will be how do you know when to start which seeds. So guys, jumping right into things today, I'm going to start off by talking about what helps me. What helps me is these little organizers. You get them on Amazon, you can get them at the craft store, cheaper on Amazon. They're called photo organizers. It's a nice plastic case with slots in it. It comes with these nice little containers, and as you can see, you just put your seeds in it. And what makes them really nice, you can put a label on them and you always know what you got in each container. You just stick them right in there, label side up, good to go. So as you have your seed collection, you can have a nice catalog of seeds. As of right now, I've got 2 of these completely full with seeds and other containers, so I have to get me some more of these. They've been a tremendous help. You can label them annuals and perennials. You can label them like brassicas or nightshades or whatever, but it's really helped me a bunch. I'm glad we had the idea, and to be honest with you, now that we started this YouTube channel, I realized apparently that was a big thing a few years ago. People just discovered this stuff, and you know, it's just one of them things, man. People got different methods for doing it. That's the one we like. Another thing you're going to need when you're starting your seeds, of course, is something to start them in. And this is probably what you're used to, these little flimsy things. We still got a pile of them from our early gardening days. Very useful. I quit using them because the cells are too small and I have to pot them up. These are about 1 inch by 1 inch by maybe 1 1/4 inches. So I would say 1 inch cube. I didn't like them just for the simple fact that once I start all these, most of the time I have to pot them up into a bigger cell, so we quit using them. And the next things we found, we still use them quite a bit. In front of me you can see the small, 8 cell tray. This would be a 16 cell tray, and one with the packaging on it. This is one of the, we've got several of these, but this happens to be a new one, and a 36 cell tray. And what makes these really, really nice is you buy them, they come with the bottom watering tray. They don't come with a dome, but they do come with the watering tray. But it's these silicone bottoms. Makes it really nice. Now, we've got better things that we use, but these are still some of my favorites. I think I like them just because they're attractive. What initially attracted me to them was that silicone bottom, because as you know, when you're trying to get these things out, you push your finger through them little flimsy jobs, you crush them, and they say they can be reused, but let's be honest, once you stick your finger up in them and do that, most of the time you're just going to throw them away. We've tried to keep them, we don't, but these Burpee seed trays, I think they're called the Burpee Super Seed. They work really, really good. Still buy some, as you can tell with the packaging still being on that. That's a new one. We bought some more to add to our collection. But our favorites have soon become these products from the Vigo Garden brand. These are their jumbo seed starting trays. I really like them a lot. Let's see, what are they? They're about 1.5 inches by about 3 inches tall. So 1.5 inches by 3 inches tall. And they come, we bought this in a kit. Now, since we bought these, and we'll talk a little bit more about them in a minute, we started buying in larger quantities. You can go to their website. You don't have to buy this particular kit. I haven't done the economics on it, but I'm pretty sure it's cheaper if you buy them the way we buy them now. And we just buy, say, like an 8 or a 16 pack of these bottom trays, a 16 pack or maybe 2 16 packs of these jumbo cells, and then we'll buy a 16 pack of these domes. When you buy them in the kit, it's a little pricey. When you spread them out, it seems to be a better value. Don't know, haven't done the math on that, but we just placed a pretty significant order last night. Hopefully it'll be here this coming week. Just so you know, if you are interested in these things, these little domes are on back order. You won't get them for a month or so, but for what we're doing, we're fine. We've got some larger ones right up there that will fit this whole tray. It's good. But what I like about their domes in particular is they have this little cell. I hope you can see in the middle, there's that little cell, and that is to hold water. There's a fine pierced hole in the bottom. I guess you'd call it a slit. And what you do is you fill that cup with water and it just drips a little bit. So every day while you're waiting on those seeds to germinate, instead of having to bottom water these things, because one of the downsides of these trays is they're barely maybe 3/4 of an inch deep. They're not going to soak up enough water for these big cells. At least that's been my experience. But you can put the water in that cup while you're germinating those seeds, and that little drip will help keep that top layer of soil moist to help your seeds germinate. They've done really good for us, and what I really like about them is that they have these big holes in the bottom. And a lot of people like that for drainage, but you can see there's slits along the side of those things. What I like is you can stick your finger in them. You can just push them right out. It's great. I really like them. We're not affiliated with them in any way, just so you know. I'm just telling you some of the things that help me. Those help me. I really like them. And of course, you're going to need you some labels. Just get you some cheap labels off Amazon. We tend to use our bigger labels out in the garden. We've got some that are about, I reckon they're 6 inches tall by an inch wide. These are about a 3/4 of an inch by 3 or 4 inches. They work good. But one of the things that we learned late in the game was don't use Sharpies. Don't use Sharpies to label your plants if those labels are going to go outside, because the sun will just totally eviscerate that ink. It just won't last. By the end of the season, you'll have no idea what you've got there unless by memory you remember. So what you want to do is you want to get you one of these garden pens. This one's by the Staedtler brand, Lumicolor Permanent Garden pen. So a really good pen. I like it. This is the medium tip. They have a UV resistant ink, and it will last you through the whole season. So when you go out there at the end of the season, you'll be able to read what you wrote on those labels. So that's really it about some of the things that help me the most. There's plenty of things we can do. There's one thing I would like to mention before we move on to planting the seeds and then talking about how to know when to start your seeds. You don't necessarily have to buy any of these things. You can start your seeds in anything, little solo cups. You can start them in baking sheets. You can do whatever you want. The Dollar Tree has an assortment of these little pots. They're flimsy, but for $1.25, you get a good amount. I don't know how many is in that. I'm not going to count them, but you get several, and they have them in a couple different sizes. You can go to your local nursery, and most of the time, your nursery will sell you seed starting products. They'll sell you trays and stuff. We buy these cups right here. They're 3x3 by about 4 inches tall. They're really good. We have got to where we used to start all of our tomatoes and peppers in these. That way they can stay in here, get a healthy root system. I don't have to pot them up. Very inexpensive. You can also get these right here, which are about half the size, almost as big around. Really, really good. But I'll give you a tip. If you're using a 10x20 tray, you need to make sure that whatever size cup you're using, they fit evenly in there and you don't waste a lot of space. We made that mistake early on. We try not to do that anymore. Don't get me wrong, it's not the end of the world, but it is one of them things. And if you're so interested, if you're one of them folks who live in a really cold area and want to get started as soon as you can, you might be interested in these 2-quart seedling pots. Now, we talked about them a few videos back, got them at Walmart. Really good deal as far as a product that you can go to the store and buy. You don't have to order them online or nothing like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8-pack. You can start about whatever you want in this thing. Particularly, I would say tomatoes and your pepper plants, and they will stay in this for a pretty good while. I wouldn't recommend that if you don't have to, but if you do live in a cold area and it's going to be a while before you get to be out in your garden before that last average frost date, this is going to be a good deal. It'd probably give you an extra month. It'll buy you an extra month if I had to guess. And we bought these to do experiments with. I haven't started any yet. And honestly, if things keep going at work the way they're going, I might not get to that experiment. So don't hold me to making a video on that. But just want to show you a few things that have helped us. Now, we're going to start these seeds here, and one of the things that I'm going to talk about, and we're just quickly going to do this, I'm not going to go through a whole little list in great detail about these seeds and all that stuff, but I will tell you, these seeds, celery and broccoli, they don't have to be planted deep. This celery says 1/4 of an inch. Why in the world would I take a dibbler or my finger and try to go a 1/4 inch, make a 1/4 inch hole? That don't make any sense. One of the things that you can do that's helped me a lot is with these little bitty seeds. I'm just going to get me a few, and I'm only going to start some right here. I only need 8 plants. Now these are really little seeds, so I'm going to get more than 8 plants. So what I'm going to try to do is scatter some seeds in here. Do it in every cell, just, however many it is. We'll have to thin them out. They're super small. And do yourself a favor, don't try to plant just 1 or 2 of these. One of the things that I've had a problem with celery, other than the deer eating them out of the garden, is germinating them. Once they get germinated, they are highly susceptible to wilt, and you really don't want to do that. And all that is that your starting medium is probably too wet. It gets that bacteria, that fungus, whatever causes that stuff. And next thing you know, your little seedlings come up and you think they're doing good. Then all of a sudden you look at them, they don't do hot. And by the end of the day, they all wilted over dead. So we just scatter them in there, take our finger, because they're little bitty seeds. And if you've got a good seed starting medium that's nice and fluffy, it's already pre-moistened, you just push them things down in there just like that. Just pack your cells down so those seeds get in full contact with that starting medium. And I can look on my finger, there's no seeds on my finger, they're all in the soil. I'm not going to do nothing to that. I'm going to move them over here. We'll put a dome on top of all 4 of these little burpee kits here, and I'm going to leave them alone. Now, it's the same deal with your broccoli. Your broccoli, some of them are going to say 1/4 and some of them are going to say 1/2. I don't care what they say. Just sprinkle them on the top and pack them in. Make sure your starting medium is good and moist. You don't want to try to water these after the fact. They're just too small. They're sown too close to the top. It's not going to help you none. Just as I'm starting these celery and broccoli, as soon as I'm able, I'm going to get outside and I'm going to plant some peas and I'm going to plant some carrots. I would have already done that, but we've had some very cold temperature and some very wet weather. It's finally starting to warm up a little bit. Now, as soon as it dries up a little bit, I'll go ahead and plant those. And in the next couple of weeks, I'll be starting my hot peppers. A few weeks after that, I'll be starting my sweet peppers and my tomatoes. And somewhere in between all that, I hope to get my potatoes out in the ground. So how do you know when to start all that stuff? Well, let's tackle the elephant in the room. A lot of folks are very confused when it comes to a growing zone. And that's because of that phrase specifically. There's no such thing as a growing zone. It's actually called a plant hardiness zone. And we use the plant hardiness zones to know what type of perennials we can plant that'll survive our winters. Now, there is a little truth in that you can use a growing zone to kind of estimate when you start your seeds. The problem with that is I live in Zone 7B in North Carolina. Somebody who lives in, say, Indiana or Ohio in the same growing zone is going to have a different last average frost date. And see, that's the key. The key to knowing when to start your plants is knowing those first and last average frost dates. Where I live in Zone 7B in northwestern North Carolina, the average last frost date is April 27th. Now, I typically can get mine in the ground a few weeks before that, but I do have to be ready to cover it with plastic if those temps are expected to drop. Somebody who lives in Indiana or Ohio, it might be a few weeks in May before that happens. Now, you say that's only a few weeks. Well, let's look at it this way. A tomato plant, pepper plant, should not be planted sooner than 2 weeks after your last frost date, unless you're going to cover them up, but still, it's good practice 2 weeks after your last average frost date. Well, 2 weeks after my last average frost date might be several weeks different than somebody who's in Ohio or Indiana. To know when you plant what, you always go by your first and your last frost dates. Now, there's a caveat. This broccoli that I'm planting, it is a cool season crop. It does not like the heat. Now, the celery, it might change the flavor profile, but it won't die. Broccoli will bolt as soon as it gets anywhere near 80 degrees. It's just going to do it. So you want to plant your broccoli in the cool season. And broccoli can handle light frost. But you got to know that you can't take a little bitty baby broccoli plant, transplant it out in your garden, frost hit it, and not think it's going to die, because it's probably going to die. You want that plant to be maturing and healthy and strong so it can tolerate that. Now, if it gets too cold, it's still going to die. Now, broccoli's pretty hardy. We just had some weather, 10 degrees for a week. We had it under plastic, and it survived. It didn't look the best, but it did survive. Wouldn't have had to put it under plastic if it was, say, 20, 25 degrees. It could have handled that much better than that 10, but 10 was just too severe. So when it comes to knowing what you can plant, it comes to reading the back of your seed pack and knowing that first and last frost date. We'll take this one that you can buy anywhere, this Desico broccoli. It says start indoors 8 weeks before planting outdoors. Well, the packet on this thing is not really informative. It's general. There's a map of the United States, and then it's got color-coded regions. My region is purple, and purple says April to May. Well, my last average frost date is April 27th. So that gives me a while to do it. When it comes to broccoli, I'll probably put it out there 2 weeks before that, maybe 3. It just depends on what the weather forecast is. So that's how you know when to plant your seeds. When it comes to your peppers, I know that I have to plant them after that last average frost date. And if you're smart and you're not going to have any cover over it, you're going to do that at least 2 weeks after that. So it's the same deal. You're going to start them about 6 to 8 weeks before that. So you would go to your last average frost date, add 2 weeks, and then subtract 6 or 8, depending on how large you want your plants to be before you transplant them. It's really that easy. Well, I hope that helped you out. If you like this video, I sure hope you'll hit that like button. And if you like gardening and garden-related content, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. If you know some folks who like gardening and garden-related content like you and me, I hope you'll share it with them on social media. And as always, guys, it's been my pleasure. My name's Michael. This is the Backyard Vegetable Gardening Channel. Hoping you have a great day.